margins completely inverted the natural order of the sport. We're really looking at the intense, dramatic tension that makes the World Cup undeniably the greatest sporting event on Earth.
There's this famous saying, in the FIFA World Cup, legends are born, dynasties are destroyed, and sometimes the impossible becomes reality. And look, that isn't just some dramatic tagline for a commercial. It is the absolute, undeniable truth of this tournament. We're going to dive into the incredible, pulse-pounding upsets that actually breathed life into those exact words, and we'll see exactly how structural certainties just completely fall apart under pressure. The impossible becomes reality.
Because here's the thing about football. No matter the pedigree, no matter the multi-million-dollar contracts or the trophy cabinets full of historic wins, vulnerability is always out there on the pitch. Once that referee blows the whistle, the past literally stops mattering. As you'll see, we are analyzing matches with monumental stakes, moments where entire nations held their breath, and global shockwaves completely rewrote the tactical and historical records of the game.
Let's start by looking at early history's biggest shocks.
To really understand modern giant killers, we've got to build our foundation with the earliest mismatches. Rewind to 1950. The contrast before kickoff was frankly astronomical. England was the proud inventor of the modern game, universally considered a global powerhouse fielding the finest professionals of the era. Their opponents? The USA. And they weren't even a fully professional squad. We're talking about a ragtag team of mail carriers, dishwashers, and teachers. The psychological assumption of European invincibility was absolute.
And yet Joe Gajan scores the winning goal, securing a 1-0 victory for the Americans. The result shattered that assumption of invincibility so thoroughly that when the score was telegraphed back to newsrooms around the world, editors literally thought it was a typo. No joke, they assumed England must have won 10-1 and actually altered the print. It wasn't just a sports win. It broke the psychological barrier that elite teams couldn't be touched by sheer, disorganized willpower.
Fast forward to 1966, and we find another massive disparity. Italy entered the tournament just dripping with talent and tactical brilliance, carrying these massive expectations to dominate. Facing them was North Korea, a team of complete outsiders. I mean, nobody gave them even a fraction of a chance. They were seen as nothing more than a minor speed bump on Italy's inevitable path to the latter stages.
But then, a historic winning goal from Pak Du-ik completely shocked the globe. Italy wasn't just beaten, they were eliminated in absolute humiliation. They were famously pelted with rotten tomatoes by their own fans upon returning home. Tactically speaking, Italy fell victim to severe complacency. Their rigid structure just failed completely against the unpredictable pace and relentless work rate of a team that had absolutely nothing to lose.
Now let's look at the phenomenon of slaying reigning world champions. What's really interesting here is how this exposes the champion's curse, which became undeniable in 1990. Argentina wasn't just a strong team. They were the reigning world champions, led by arguably the greatest player to ever live, Diego Maradona. Against them stood Cameroon, a fierce African side who utilized intensely physical, disruptive tactics to break Argentina's rhythm. And it was so physical, they ended up playing with a severe numerical disadvantage because of red cards. Just nine men. Cameroon pulled off one of the most shocking opening match victories in history, with only 9 men remaining on the pitch. The sheer defensive willpower, the low block discipline, and the agonizing tactical concentration required to hold on to a 1-0 lead, down 2 men, against Maradona's defending world champions, it is still studied today as an absolute masterclass in defensive resilience.
And the curse struck again in 2002. France entered as defending champions at the absolute peak of their dominance, boasting the top scorers from 3 major European leagues. On the flip side, you have Senegal, who were stepping onto the World Cup stage for the very first time in their nation's history. Interestingly, though, they brought a squad comprised largely of players from the lower tiers of French club football, so they intimately knew their opponent's style.
1-0. Papa Bouba Diop scored the only goal of the match, leading Senegal to a stunning victory that left legions of French fans completely speechless. It proved a vital tactical lesson. Absolute familiarity and rigid, predictable systems can sometimes become a fatal weakness when pitted against the fearless, unpredictable energy of newcomers who are willing to play with pure, unadulterated heart. This brings us to modern-day football miracles. Now, you might be wondering, with modern data analytics, extreme athletic conditioning, and highly scrutinized tactical systems, surely the era of the unexplainable upset is over, right? Well, fast forward to 2018 in Russia. The intensely suspenseful question on everyone's mind going into the final group stage game was simply, could the defending champions survive?
The mighty German squad desperately needed a win against South Korea to stay alive. The answer was a resounding, historic no. South Korea relentlessly exploited Germany's desperation. They executed lightning-fast transitional counters against a dangerously high German defensive line, scoring 2 dramatic late-game goals in stoppage time. This actually marked the first group stage exit for Germany in over 80 years. It proved definitively that even the most calculated systems collapse when panic sets in. Let's move to Qatar 2022, where the expectations were immense. Argentina was the defending Copa America champion, riding a massive unbeaten streak with a star-studded squad led by Lionel Messi. Statistically and historically, sweeping past Saudi Arabia in their opening match was considered a complete foregone conclusion by nearly every pundit on earth. 2-1. That is the massive reality check that dropped on the football world. And Saudi Arabia didn't just win by luck. They executed a flawless, highly risky, high defensive line, catching Argentina offside repeatedly with terrifying discipline. After going down early, they scored 2 stunning second-half goals to secure a comeback that sparked unimaginable celebrations across the Middle East and triggered a total global media frenzy. It was a tactical masterclass in pure bravery.
Next, Morocco's unprecedented historic run.
So the crucial point here is that sometimes an upset isn't just a single isolated miracle, but a sustained historic campaign. The sheer scale of Morocco's momentum in 2022 proves this. First, they toppled the golden generation of Belgium. Then, they eliminated the tactical masters Spain on penalties. Next, they sent Portugal packing in regular time. Built on incredible defensive solidity and lethal transitional speed, they became the very first African nation to ever reach the semifinal. They inspired millions and proved definitively that they belonged among the global elite.
Finally, when the whistle blows.
The FIFA World Cup has taught us one lesson again and again. No matter how powerful a team may seem, when the whistle blows, anything is possible. This right here is why we watch. It's why millions of people hold their breath for 90 minutes. It's the beautifully unpredictable nature of this game, where tactical certainty can be completely unraveled by the human spirit. That is what cements it as the greatest sporting event on Earth.
So, I want to leave you with this provocative final thought. When the whistle blows next, which giant will fall? Because history guarantees us with absolute certainty someone is going down. Keep that in mind next time you look at those seemingly impossible